Title: He sent one email, 25 years later he was arrested. The discovery. The email was short. No greeting, no name, no context, just a single sentence. I never meant for it to happen. It arrived in the inbox of the Ridgefield Police Department on a quiet Monday morning, sent from an address that looked newly created. It might have been dismissed as a prank if not for what came next, an attachment named 1999_proof.zip. Detective Claire Donovan stared at the screen. She'd seen her share of anonymous tips, conspiracy theories, angry exes, even coded threats. But something about this one felt different. The timestamp on the email was 3:04 a.m., and the server metadata traced back to an IP address in Lisbon, Portugal. The subject line read only, foreclosure. She opened the file. Inside were 6 photographs, grainy and scanned from film, clearly decades old. They showed a man in his 20s standing beside an old sedan, smiling awkwardly at the camera. In the background, faint but unmistakable, was the Welcome to Pinebrook sign, a small American town she recognized instantly. One of the photos had something scribbled on the back in faded blue ink. August 14, 1999, before everything changed. Attached was a 7th image, a police missing person flyer. A woman's face. Sarah Linwood, age 26, missing since August 1999. Claire leaned back in her chair. The name hit her like a ghost. She'd grown up in Pinebrook. Everyone her age knew about Sarah Linwood. A promising journalist, last seen leaving a late-night diner on the highway. Her car was found 2 days later, engine running, purse untouched. The case went cold within a year. Now, 25 years later, someone had sent her department an anonymous confession, not just from another country but from someone who knew details never made public. She forwarded the email to cybercrimes, then printed the images, laying them across her desk like puzzle pieces. Each one told the same silent story. The man, the car, the same roadside angle, always with the same strained half-smile. It was as if he'd been documenting something he couldn't quite face. The metadata from the photos showed their original creation date, August 14, 1999. But the real shock came when the tech team decrypted the hidden data embedded in the zip file. It contained GPS coordinates, a wooded area less than 2 miles from where Sarah's car had been abandoned. Claire drove out that afternoon. The road curved through tall pines, the kind that muffled sound and light. The GPS led her to a clearing where an old foundation lay half buried in dirt, the remains of a farmhouse burned down years ago. She crouched, brushing leaves aside, until her hand hit something solid, rusted metal. An old camera. Inside the corroded body of the camera was a roll of undeveloped film, remarkably preserved. By sunset she was back at the lab. The film, once developed, revealed a sequence of images that made her stomach drop. The same man, same night, standing beside Sarah Linwood's blue Toyota. In one frame she was visible in the passenger seat, smiling faintly at the camera, unaware. In the next frame the passenger door was open and she was gone. The final image was of the man himself, looking directly into the lens, expression hollow. A mirror flash reflected in his eyes. Claire ordered a facial recognition scan. The algorithm compared the man's face to public databases, aging him 25 years. Within minutes a hit came back. Michael Hale, age 51, currently residing in Lisbon, Portugal. No criminal record. Former computer technician for the U.S. Embassy, dual citizenship. She printed his file and stared at his photo. The eyes were the same, empty, calculating, waiting to be found. That night, she pulled the original 1999 case file from archives. Inside, she found a note written by the original investigator. Possible suspect, local mechanic named Michael H. Interview scheduled August 16th. Never showed. Left town same week. Her hands trembled slightly as she turned the page. The officer's final entry read, "Case frozen. No leads. Evidence locker sealed." Claire looked at the email again. The sender's final line repeated in her mind like an echo. "I never meant for it to happen." She replayed it in her head until the words lost meaning, until they became less an apology and more a warning. At 11:27 p.m. her inbox pinged again. A new message from the same anonymous address. "If you're reading this, it means you opened the file. Don't make the same mistake she did." No attachment this time. Just a single image embedded in the email, a grainy photo taken through a cafe window. It was her. Sitting at her desk that very morning, head bent over the screen, eyes unaware of the camera watching. The message below it read, "History repeats itself." Claire's breath caught. The office lights flickered. the hum of the server room growing louder, like the building itself was holding its breath. The man who had sent that email wasn't done hiding. He was watching. And this time he'd chosen her. The digital trail. Detective Claire Donovan barely slept. The anonymous message had followed her home like a shadow she couldn't shake. Every creak of her apartment felt amplified. The hum of her refrigerator, the faint tick of the clock, the sound of rain tapping on the window. She kept seeing that image of herself, the one embedded in the email. Whoever sent it wasn't bluffing. Someone had eyes on her. By dawn, she was back at the precinct. Cybercrimes had already been digging into the sender's digital footprint through the night. The email was routed through a maze of proxy servers: Germany, Estonia, finally Lisbon. The origin address was a ghost, but one trace stuck: a cafe Wi-Fi network near the Alfama district of Lisbon, Portugal. She called her captain. "We can confirm the IP address belongs to a user in Lisbon. We have a name from the photos: Michael Hale. We need to contact Interpol." An hour later, an encrypted call came through from Inspector Duarte, Lisbon's cybercrime unit chief. His accent was smooth but firm. "You believe this man is responsible for a disappearance in 1999? "I do," Claire said. "He's been taunting us. He sent photographs no one else could have taken." "We can track him," Duarte replied. "But Lisbon is old. It has many corners where ghosts can live." That phrase stayed with her: where ghosts can live. By the next day, Interpol confirmed it. Michael Hale had entered Portugal in 2002, married briefly, then divorced. He'd been teaching computer literacy classes at a small university. His residence permit was current, his tax record spotless. A man who had built an ordinary life on top of extraordinary lies. Claire boarded a flight that evening. When she landed, Lisbon smelled of rain and salt. Streets slick with mist, cobblestones reflecting amber streetlights. She met Duarte at the precinct, where he handed her a thin folder. Inside was Hale's new photo: older, gray in the beard, glasses perched neatly on his nose. Still, the eyes were unmistakable. They visited his address in the Alfama district, a small flat overlooking narrow alleys that climbed like veins up the hillside. His mailbox still bore his name. "He teaches part-time at the Instituto Técnico," Duarte said. "We can speak to him there." Claire's heart pounded as they walked the hallway. A door opened, room 203. A man stepped out carrying a laptop bag. Michael Hale. He froze when he saw them, his gaze darting from Claire's badge to her eyes. For a second, neither spoke. Then he smiled faintly. "You came," he said. "Mr. Hale," she said, keeping her voice steady. "You sent an email to the Ridgefield Police Department." He didn't deny it. "You found me faster than I expected." "You confessed to something," she said. "To what happened to Sarah Linwood." He blinked slowly. "I didn't confess. I asked for closure." "Then help me understand," Claire said. He nodded toward the lecture hall. "I think you should see something first." They followed him inside. The classroom was empty, rows of computers, blinds half drawn. He placed his laptop on the desk and opened a folder named Archive 1999. Dozens of image files appeared, each labeled with numbers. "I've kept everything," he said. "Every letter. Every file. Every attempt to tell the truth." He clicked one at random. The screen filled with an image, a dark room illuminated only by an old CRT monitor. A woman's reflection faintly visible on the glass. "That's her," he whispered. "Sarah. She emailed me once before she disappeared. I didn't realize it until too late." He opened another file, an old email draft from August 15, 1999. It was addressed to Michael H., but never sent. "I know what you did at the diner. I can't keep quiet anymore." Claire felt her stomach twist. "So she confronted you?" He looked up, pained. "She wasn't talking to me." The room seemed to shrink. "I wasn't the only Michael," he said. "My brother worked there too. Michael Hale Sr. He died in 2001. But the things he did." He stopped himself, eyes glassy. "Your brother?" Claire asked softly. "There's no record of him." "There wouldn't be. He changed his name after the diner. He was the one she got into the car with that night. I only found out after he died. I tried to confess in his place. But the system wouldn't take it seriously. So I left." Claire's hands trembled slightly. "You said you wanted closure. Why now?" He sighed. "Because I've been getting the same emails you have." She froze. "What do you mean?" He opened his inbox. The most recent message sat unread. The subject line: foreclosure. He clicked it. A photograph filled the screen. Claire standing in her precinct office, looking down at the same case file. The timestamp on the image was yesterday. Her pulse quickened. "I thought you were sending them," she said. He shook his head slowly. "And I thought you were." The lights in the classroom flickered. For a moment, the monitors glowed with static, white lines, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then the email image changed. It wasn't of Claire anymore. It showed both of them standing in that very room watching the screen. The photo had been taken from behind them. "Someone's inside the network," Duarte said. His voice was tight. "They're watching us in real time." Claire stepped toward the window. Across the street, a small cafe's neon sign blinked faintly through the rain. For a heartbeat, she thought she saw a figure inside, sitting alone, face hidden by the screen of a laptop. She turned back to Hale. "If you didn't send these," she said quietly, "then who did?" Hale's expression hardened. "Whoever it is, they know everything. They were there that night." Outside, thunder cracked across the Lisbon sky, sharp and close, as if the past itself had found a way to reply. The truth in the inbox. The storm over Lisbon didn't stop all night. Rain swept across the narrow streets, turning every window into a warped mirror. Detective Claire Donovan sat in the dark of her hotel room, the glow of her laptop the only light. The email from earlier still haunted her, the one that showed her and Michael Hale inside the classroom, caught from an impossible angle. Somewhere, someone was watching them through the network. And whoever it was, knew every detail of a 25-year-old disappearance. She replayed the chain of evidence in her mind. An old case from 1999. A missing woman named Sarah Linwood. Two brothers, Michael Hale and the long-dead Michael Sr. An email sent in the middle of the night saying, "I never meant for it to happen." And now, images that shouldn't exist. Her laptop pinged. Another email. The subject line read, "You're close." Inside was a single sentence. "Check the draft folder." Her cursor hovered for a second before she clicked. The drafts folder was empty, or so it seemed. Then, one by one, new drafts appeared, opening automatically. Each one contained an unfinished email dated from August 1999, recovered somehow from the past. The first message began, "Michael, if you read this, please meet me at the diner. I think I've found out who's been reading our files." The second was shorter, typed minutes later. "Forget it. I'm being watched. Someone else has access." The final unsent draft contained just 3 words. "He's not you." Claire's skin went cold. These weren't just Sarah's last words, they were never sent. Someone had retrieved them from a server that should have been dead decades ago. She picked up her phone and called Inspector Duarte. "We've been thinking about this all wrong," she said. "It's not about what Hale did. It's about who's still covering it up." When she arrived at the precinct, Hale was sitting in an interrogation room, eyes hollow, hands folded neatly on the table. Duarte nodded toward him. "He came back this morning. Said he wanted to help." Claire sat across from him. "Someone's recreating the night she vanished," she said. "Emails, photos, everything." Hale nodded slowly. "I know. And I think I know who." He reached into his bag and placed a small flash drive on the table. "This is every archive I ever kept. The email logs, the metadata, everything I found when I hacked my brother's old account before I left the US. "Your brother's?" "Yes. He worked for a data security subcontractor back in 1999. He had access to the county's email servers, the same ones the police used. When Sarah started investigating corruption in the town's IT department, she stumbled onto his access records. She confronted him that night at the diner. He panicked." Claire exhaled. "He killed her to keep her quiet." "He didn't mean to," Hale said softly. "He called me after. I told him to destroy the drive. But he didn't. He kept it backed up on an offline machine. After he died, someone else must have found it." Claire plugged the flash drive into the precinct terminal. Hundreds of files appeared, system logs, network addresses, and a folder labeled S. Inside were surveillance photos, timestamps, phone logs, all tied to the same IP address that had been sending her emails. The account belonged to someone within the Ridgefield Police Department. Her breath caught. "That's impossible," she whispered. "These are from my department." Duarte leaned closer. "Who would have access to your email system from Portugal?" Claire scrolled to the last file, a transcript of a remote session dated 2 weeks earlier. Someone had used her own credentials to send the first message. The username on the log made her stomach twist. Admin_Caffrey, the digital alias of James Caffrey, the original 1999 investigator who'd been declared dead 10 years ago. "He died," Claire said. Heart attack 2015. His badge was retired. Maybe not his login, Duarte murmured. Claire sat frozen as realization sank in. Whoever was sending the emails wasn't trying to threaten her. They were trying to finish his investigation. Caffrey had discovered the truth before he died. He'd uncovered the link between the corrupt data firm and Sarah's disappearance, and backed up all the evidence onto Hale's brother's server. When his access expired, the system auto-triggered his credentials to release the files to any new login tied to the case. The email chain wasn't sent by a man. It was sent automatically by a dead detective's security failsafe, his ghost in the network. The final file was an arrest report template, already filled out. Suspect: Michael Hale Sr., deceased. Accessory after the fact: Michael Hale, living. Investigative lead: Detective Claire Donovan, confirmed recipient of confession protocol. The system had finished the case on its own. When they executed the digital warrant, Hale didn't resist. He stood quietly as officers led him away. "You'll find her," he said to Claire. "I buried the drive where he buried her." Within days they found it, a rusted laptop unearthed from a wooded clearing near Pinebrook. Inside were records of payments, falsified police files, and a final message from Sarah Linwood's personal account, saved as a draft but never deleted. "If anything happens to me, follow the emails. He can't hide forever." Weeks later, back in Ridgefield, Claire sat at her desk staring at her monitor. The case was closed, the confession verified, the arrest made. She hovered her mouse over the recycle bin and deleted the last email chain. But just as she reached for her coffee, her inbox pinged once more. From admin_jcaffrey@ridgefield.gov. Subject: "Well done, detective." Her pulse stopped for a beat. The timestamp read exactly 1 year after the first message. She smiled faintly. Somewhere, a good cop had refused to let time bury the truth. The rain started again outside her window, gentle, rhythmic, like static from an old modem connecting to something beyond understanding. And deep in the precinct's server room, one tiny red light blinked, steady, eternal, waiting for the next cold case to open its eyes.